fishing, the most honest sport ever invented. No referee, no scoreboard, no cardio. Just a man, a stick, and a body of water he has decided to have a staring contest with. For thousands of years, men of a certain age have looked at their careers, their marriages, their cholesterol results, and concluded, you know what would fix all of this? Sitting in a puddle at 5 in the morning in complete silence, holding string. But what if the water stared back? In 2023, 4 people from New Zealand released a game that asked a question nobody else had the courage to ask. What if your dad's fishing trip was also a Lovecraft story? What if the friendly local mayor put you in debt the very first minute you're in town? What if the fish had opinions? And what if the mysterious old man dispensing life advice from his crumbling mansion was, and I cannot stress this enough, a walking red flag with a mailing address? This is Dredge. It's a game about fish. It is a game about monsters. But more than anything, and I will die on this hill, statistically speaking, probably at sea, it is the greatest eldritch midlife crisis simulator ever made. A game about a man who responds to unimaginable grief the way all men do. He buys a boat, picks up a hobby, and refuses to ever talk about it. Welcome. Today we'll be doing a way too long intro into a fishing game. And I promise you that by the end of it, you'll either buy Dredge or call your father. Probably both. Ideally both. Here's my pitch, alright? Everyone describes Dredge the same way. Cozy fishing game meets cosmic horror, cute, accurate, kinda lazy. But when you actually look at it, at what this game is actually doing, mechanically, narratively, spiritually, astrophysically, it's not really about horror. The tentacles are the set dressing. Dredge is a forensic reconstruction of a man having the big one. The crisis. The moment where a guy looks at his life, doesn't like what he sees, and instead of processing even a single emotion, he just buys a vessel. Now, I've prepared a checklist. Science, of course, demands it. Number 1. Impulse acquired watercraft. Number 2. Crushing debt. Number 3. An obsessive new hobby that consumes every waking hour, to the point of insanity. Number 4. A strange older man who dispenses life advice and definitely isn't an allegory for a therapist. Number 5. Ignoring every goddamn single warning sign in your body and environment to your own detriment and that of your closest friends. Number 6. Unprocessed grief. Number 7, and this one's blurred out until the spoiler section. By the end of this video, we will have checked every single box. This is not an interpretation, it's actually a diagnosis. Alright, so here's the roadmap. First, who made this thing and why shouldn't it have worked in the first place? Second, the gameplay loop itself, also known as capitalism, with extra steps and fewer survivors. Third, a grand tour of the 5 regions, which I will be presenting for reasons that will become canonical as the 5 stages of grief. Fourth, the full story breakdown, the collector, the twist, both endings, everything. That section is clearly marked, timestamped, and skippable because I respect you, kinda. And I also might forget to timestamp it, but I'll mention spoilers when we talk about it, because I know myself, I am a lazy. And mostly fifth, why this game's horror design embarrasses studios 100 times its size. And finally, the DLC, the sales numbers, and the fact that this fishing game is getting a live action adaptation from Hollywood before most of your favorite franchises. Is that a good thing or not? I don't know, but it does speak volumes to the game's popularity. We live in the best timeline, but it's also, haunted. Grab a thermos, fish out a soggy book from the water, and let's ruin fishing together. Now, Dredge was made by Black Salt Games, a 4-person studio out of Christchurch, New Zealand. 4 people. Producer Nadia Thorne, programmer Joel Mason, and artist Alex Ritchie and Michael Bastians. That's not a studio, that's a carpool. Most AAA games have more people than that working exclusively on horse genitals. Not to put those people down, because obviously horse genitals are a very important part of gaming. You can ask the furries. The 4 of them had worked together before at a mobile games company, And then COVID happened, world got weird, and they were extremely relatably deciding if this reality is going to be a horror setting anyway, you might as well go independent. So they founded Black Salt and started prototyping. And here's a detail I love. Dredge wasn't really the plan, it was one of the 3 prototypes actually. They built a real-time strategy game, a stealth game, and a little fishing game. Handed all 3 to their friends and colleagues and just let them decide. The fishing thing apparently was the most popular one. So somewhere out there is an alternate universe where Black Salt Games made maybe an Eldritch Horror EU4. Or maybe they shipped a stealth game and nobody ever found out what a Mindsucker is. Let's not seek out that universe though, it sounds worse. The original concept for Dredge was written in a couple of paragraphs. I think 1 or 2. I've written longer text to cancel than disappointment. The design inspiration, according to the team, was games like Papers, Please and Moonlighter. Take 2 simple gameplay loops and weld them together until they spark. Papers, Please taught the world that bureaucracy is horror. Dredge took notes and asked what if the paperwork was fish? A logical question, of course. Even better, early on, Dredge was conceived as a top-down turn-based game. Turn-based, like XCOM, but the aliens are cod or mackerel. 95 chance to hit the mackerel. Mission failed. You are now the sexual servant of Cthulhu. Mercifully, that version was scrapped, although part of me kinda wishes it wasn't. I would have loved to see that. The team spent their first 6 months or so just developing the starting region, the Marrows, polishing the boat controls and the core feel until it was right, which, spoiler for the rest of the video, it was. I quite like Dredge. They announced the game in August 22 with a trailer and showed it at Gamescom and went publisher hunting. They contacted about 40 publishers, 20 answered, which honestly, a 50% response rate makes them more successful at cold outreach than every recruiter on LinkedIn. I swear to God, those MFers spam everyone. I've been getting cold calls from recruiters for 4 years. I haven't had a job hunt in 6 years. They ended up signing with Team 17, yes, the Worms people, who apparently looked at their portfolio of invertebrates ruining lives and said, yeah, that's on brand, after Team 17 spotted their work on Twitter. This is also known as the single and only instance of Twitter improving someone's life. The game then launched in March 2023 for about $25 on basically everything. PC, PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, Samsung Galaxy fridges, my grandpa's pacemaker, you name it, they had it. Then it detonated. Over 100,000 copies sold in the first 24 hours, a number the team had budgeted a year or more to reach. Nadia Thorne has told the story of it being the launch party and watched them blow through their entire year 1 sales target. On day 1, during the party. By October 23, Dredge had passed 1 million copies. 4 people, a boat, a million sales. Easy. Meanwhile, publishers keep telling us single-player games are dead. Single-player game is not dead. Single-player game is at the bottom of the ocean, thriving, and it has your wallet. You may never get it back ever again. But let's talk about why fishing specifically was the perfect host body for cosmic horror. Because here's the thing about fishing as a pastime. It's already kind of ominous, right? Think about what fishing actually is. A man leaves his family before sunrise. He travels to a large, dark, indifferent body of water. He sits alone, in silence for hours, staring at the surface, as the surface stares back at him, waiting for something beneath to respond. It's not a hobby. It's kind of like a seance with snacks. Every fishing stereotype is just Lovecraft with a serial number filed off. The obsession with the one that got away, a creature of impossible size that no one else has witnessed and whose existence cannot be verified. The lying about proportion. Oh, it was this big, sir, you don't understand. The fish goes to a different school, you don't know her. They are describing an entity beyond human measurement. The tackle box is kind of like a ritual box containing lures and totems organized with a reverence he has never once applied to his own feelings. The 4 a.m. start time, a schedule shared exclusively by fishermen, monks, and people who post motivational content about not drinking your coffee until you're awake for a half an hour and eating hot chocolate or something like that. I'm too gainfully employed to really understand what the motivational content is about, if I'm being honest. Anyway, you're not avoiding your family, honey, you're out on the water. And the funniest part, H.P. Lovecraft himself, the godfather of the entire genre this game borrows from, famously despised seafood. He hated it. Well, the guy hated everything. He was scared of his cat, he was scared of air conditioning, but that's beside the point. The man built a literary empire on the fear of fish-adjacent entities, and would have rather died than eat a shrimp. So a game where the core loop is catch the eldritch horror, then sell it for grocery money. It's not just like a genre mashup, it's kind of a prank on H.P. Lovecraft himself, making his entire universe be part of a grocery trip. Dredge looks at a creature that could make Lovecraft faint and asks the only question that really matters. How much for a pound? And can I get that one for half off? So that's the setup. 4 developers, couple of paragraphs, haunted ocean. Now let's talk about the game itself and meet the man at the center of this maritime disaster. Dredge opens with our protagonist sailing towards the town of Greater Marrow to take a job as a local fisherman. He's immediately shipwrecked, fog rolls over, rocks appear, boat's gone, roll credits, roll tide. No wait, that's a tutorial. You have owned this vessel for roughly 30 seconds of screen time, and it's already at the bottom of the sea. God damn it. At least it makes Dredge the most realistic boat ownership simulator ever created. The moment you buy it, you have more costs. That's an old saying as well. A boat is a hole in the water you throw money into. Dredge kind of speedruns that metaphor. You wash ashore at Greater Marrow, where the mayor, the first human being that you meet, looks at a half-drowned stranger who just lost everything and sees an investment opportunity. He gives you a replacement boat, on credit of course. There's no charity under capitalism. Your first quest in this game is owing a politician money. The horrors haven't even started, and you're already dealing with politics and checking boxes. Now, the game never names this man. The credits call him the Fisherman. I find that cowardly, so for the rest of this game he has a name, and that name is Gerald. Gerald's somewhere between 45 and dead, his knees make sounds, and Gerald has arrived in a strange town with no possession. No backstory he's willing to discuss, and a powerful need to be busy. You know Gerald. You are related to Gerald. There's a non-zero chance you are becoming Gerald right now, watching a way too long video about a fishing game instead of sleeping. The core loop is beautiful in its simplicity. By day, you fish. There's no rod and reel simulator here. Instead, every catch is a quick timing game. Little spinning circles and a reaction check. Different styles for different species. Then the real game begins. The inventory. Your cargo hold is a grid. Every fish is differently shaped. And you will spend a genuinely alarming percentage of this Lovecraftian horror experience managing and playing Tetris with fish. It's the Resident Evil attaché case, except instead of ammunition, it's mackerel, and instead of a zombie outbreak, the crisis is that the cod is L-shaped. This is incidentally the most accurate midlife metaphor in the game. Your life is a small box. Everything you acquire is an awkward shape, and none of it fits in the way you thought it would. Damn it. So you sell your haul to the fishmonger, pay down the mayor, and pump the rest into the boat. Oh, and speaking of the boat, you dredge up research parts from the seabed and spend them on a whole tree of rods, nets, engines, and lights. Your haul starts at a pathetic 3 hit points, which means early game, Gerald is essentially sailing a floating dare. Engines are measured in knots, and you will be chasing those knots like a furry in heat. And here's the mechanical genius. Time only moves when you do. Sail, fish, dredge, jerk it a little at a medium pace, the clock spins. But if you sit around there and do nothing but stare and contemplate your life choices, time is politely waiting on you and just stops. Dredge is one of the few games I know that mechanically models being lost in thought. The ocean waits for Gerald, not the other way around. The ocean is in fact a better listener than most people Gerald knows. And then the sun goes down. See, fish are worth more at night. Rare species come out at night. And the night is also when the game stops being a cottagecore screensaver and starts being a psychiatric evaluation. Your panic is represented by an eye in the corner of the screen that slowly creeps up the longer you stay out in the dark, which is also coincidentally exactly how I wake up when I remember something embarrassing from roughly 10 years ago. As panic rises, the world starts lying to you. Rocks appear in your path that were never there. You hallucinate them, but they still damage your hull. Because this game understands that imaginary problems cause real damage. which is the most expensive lesson of anyone's 40s. Flocks of unhinged birds harass you in broad daylight. If you're stressed enough, a ghost ship stalks through the fog, and the counterplay is to turn off the lights and be very, very quiet. A strategy Gerald presumably perfected at family gatherings. There's a thing called miasma, a wandering fog entity that follows you around whispering and cranking while you panic up. Like an anxiety with a physics engine. Red water sprouts will actively chase you down and occasionally slap a mutated fish onto your deck as they hit you. The sky is negging you with produce. At least you can sell them, though they might not be worth much. My favorite though is the anglerfish. Out in open water you'll spot a friendly light bobbing in the darkness. Another boat! A fellow soul on the lonely sea. It's not a boat though. It's an enormous anglerfish, using its lure to imitate a vessel, and it will pursue you with terrifying commitment. Yeah, you've heard that correctly. The ocean has also invented fishing, and you're the prey. There's also more than one of them, because of course there is more than one of them. And if something does sink you, you wake up back at the dock, alive, minus a chunk of your cargo, which has been salvaged. The sea has its own repo man, and every drowning has fees. The cure for all of this, the entire mental health system of Dredge, is going to bed. Docks are everywhere, and you can sleep, and the panic will reset. That's it. That's the whole treatment plan. Just sleep, don't think too much about it. Which is honestly more actionable advice than most self-help books. And Dredge charges you once, not per session. The tragedy, the very deliberate, very pointed tragedy, is that you won't do it. Because the nightfish are just worth more. Because the crab pots are full. Because just one more haul. Dredge weaponizes the same voice that keeps you up playing one more turn of anything. And as a man who has watched the sunrise over a Hearts of Iron campaign, more than once I recognize a predator when I see one. The monsters don't drag Gerald into the darkness, the invoice does. And the town is in on it. When you start hauling up aberrations, twisted, wrong versions of fish, 2 heads, extra eyes, colors that don't occur in nature, ghost fish, the fishmonger buys them, no questions. No, where do you get this from? Are you criminally insane? Premium prices they give you, in fact. There's an entire settlement running its economy on cursed seafood, and not one person has convened into a meeting. Capitalism will price everything. You can catalog every aberration into your encyclopedia, like some kind of Pokemon of health code violations, and the game rewards you for it, because Dredge understands the completionist urge is just the crisis wearing a lab coat. So that's the loop. You wake up, you fish, you sell, you upgrade. Push the night a little further than yesterday. Watch the eye open. Be careful. Tell yourself it's fine. It's the daily routine of a man circling a drain and calling it a career, and it is compulsively, dangerously playable. Quick break in the voyage. If this video is doing anything for you, consider hitting the like button. Consider subscribing so that you may appease the ancient and indifferent algorithm that decides my fate for reasons no mortal can really comprehend. Subscribing is the ritual, the bell is the summoning, so make sure to hit that, otherwise you will not be getting any notification when this eldritch horror posts another piece of content. I don't make the cosmic rules, I just live under them. Same as Gerald. Now back to the ocean. Dredge's world is an open sea of 5 archipelagos, each with its own fish, its own locals, its own signature monster, and its own flavor of, you should not be here. And I'm gonna walk you through them as the 5 stages of grief. Now you might think that's just me being a video essayist and imposing a framework that doesn't really exist. Incorrect. Well, probably correct, let's be honest. We know how video essayists work, they just pull shit out of their ass. But for the sake of the video, let's say it's incorrect. Here's my favorite piece of Dredge trivia. Early in development, Black Salt Games considered building the characters around the stages of grief. They cut the idea and pivoted to a broader mystery, which means the 5 stages were literally on the whiteboard. And I'm simply finishing what 4 people in Christchurch started. It's kind of a restoration work, if you could see it like that. So my way of stretching this video longer is actually at some point considered by the developers. And I consider that a win in my books. Stage 1, Denial, the Marrows. Your starting area, dead center of the map, home to Greater Marrow, the mayor, the fishmonger, the shipwright, and a lighthouse. whose keeper is the closest thing this game has to a functioning adult. The lighthouse matters more than you think. It's visible from practically anywhere on the map, a little glowing promise that safe harbor exists. The Marrows is where the game teaches you its rhythm and lets you believe the lie, that it's a cozy game, that the night is just spicy weather, and the massive angular-shaped light-stalking demon that circles the bay is probably just a very committed fairy. Everything is fine. The fish have a normal amount of heads mostly. The Nile isn't a river in Egypt, it's an archipelago, and the mortgage on it is held by the mayor, the cruel capitalist mayor. Stage 2. Anger. Gale cliffs. A wall of stone across the water where the wind screams, water sprouts roam, and the region's landlord is the serpent, a colossal sea snake that has carved tunnels through the cliffs and patrols them like it pays property tax. You'll know it's coming because the entire region trembles. The monster has a doorbell. It is the doorbell. Get spotted in those narrow channels and you'll be in a chase sequence through a maze designed by something with no concept of insurance. Gale Cliffs is also home to my favorite side story in the game. A pair of estranged brothers, one of them living as a hermit, torn apart by an old family feud. You reconcile them by dredging up a lost family heirloom, and your reward for mending this broken household is explosives. That's the whole arc. Feelings were discussed and now Gerald owns dynamite. If that's not the American dream, I don't know what is. It's also what I consider the most middle-aged man conflict resolution ever recorded. I don't know what it is. Anger processed, cliff, legally distinct trouble. All's good. Stage 3. Bargaining. Stellar Basin, in the southwest. A vast, deep crater in the ocean floor. Gorgeous, bioluminescent, teeming with more unique fish than anywhere else in the game, including a glowing octopus you can catch in a crab pot, which feels kinda illegal, slightly radioactive as well, if I'm being honest. It is also occupied. In the center of the basin sits an enormous kraken-like creature, and if you sail over it, it expresses its opinion via tentacles the size of civic infrastructure. Much like civic infrastructure, you can also not banish it. You cannot really fight it at all. What you can do though, is help the resident researcher, a scientist studying the basin who sends you on errands in exchange for progress. Complete a pursuit and you gain access to a machine that temporarily deters the creature, letting you loot its living room while it sulks. That's bargaining. You cannot remove the monster from your life, but with enough grant funding and errand running, you can negotiate some visiting hours. You may finally see your kids again. Also, the basin spawns exploding jellyfish at night. Science calls them jelly bombs, but I think they're more the ocean's opinion of your 5-year plans. Stage 4. Depression. The Twisted Strand, up in the northwest. A mangrove swamp. A labyrinth of roots and stagnant channels where the map stops being useful and the geography actively gaslights you. This is the region that lives in your head. Its signature horrors are the mind suckers. 3 of them, lurking in the trees, and they don't chase you. They just look at you. Get caught in their gaze and your panic skyrockets, while roots slam shut around your escape routes. And here's the detail that belongs in the designing museum. The counterplay to a mindsucker is to stop moving. Hold still, go quiet, let it lose interest. It's the only enemy in the game you can defeat by disassociating, and it lives in the depression swamp. I need everyone to appreciate how on the nose that is. There's also a crashed airman out there with a story I'll save for the spoiler section, but know this, his pursuit, charmingly titled The Bitter End, is the only way to permanently kill anything in this game. The Twisted Strand contains the game's only defeatable enemies. Even Dredge agrees. The monsters in your head are the only ones you can actually beat. Stage 5. Acceptance. The Devil's Spine in the northeast. That's the endgame region. A volcanic ridge of black rock, hypothermal vents, and water, the temperature of regret. The least amount of fishing species live there. Which makes sense because, it's kinda fucked up hot over there. And fish, even fish, they have standards. The local matriarch is the Unseeing Mother, a giant blind horror, escorted by a swarm of her ravenous children. The children can't hurt you, but they can surround your boat, slow you down and scream for their mother, at which point she arrives and expresses her maternal instinct into your hull, promptly ending your life. Kids are snitches. What's the counter for it? lure her little informants over a hydrothermic vent, which blasts them away and leaves Mom swimming peacefully in oblivion. By the time you're here doing this, calmly kiting demon toddlers into geysers while planning your route to a volcanic fishing spot, you may have changed. Nothing really phases Geralt anymore. He's accepted it. A tentacle rises from the deep and he checks whether it's blocking a dredge node. Like I said, acceptance. Not peace, just acceptance. There's a big difference in there. Oh, and if you ever try to sail off the edge of the map past the corner of the world, something called the Leviathan lives out there. And it will swallow your entire boat like a deviled egg. Dredge has an out-of-bounds bouncer. Remember the Leviathan, it has a second job later. So let's wrap it up again. 5 regions, 5 stages, 1 man, and he's methodically monetizing every stage of his own grief. Is it healthy? Probably not, but since when has a middle-aged man in a midlife crisis ever had healthy coping mechanisms? You wouldn't be here in the first place if you had them. But that does bring us to the last reason Geralt is doing any of this. The man on the island. The man with the list. By the way, spoilers up ahead, in case you care about that stuff. At this point, I'll be spoiling everything, so if you do care about spoilers, this might be it for you. If you are willing to listen to it and you don't care about getting spoiled about the stuff of Dredge, go ahead and continue. There's a lot of interesting information that's about to pop. Now, let's meet the worst life coach in video game history. Early in the game, you're pointed towards Blackstone Isle, a rock near the Marrows, crowned by a crumbling mansion. Inside lives the Collector, a genteel, cultured, older man, who is delighted I say, to finally have a fisherman with dredging talents in the area. He'd like you to recover some family heirlooms from the seabed. He'll make it worth your while. Nothing too strange about that, right? Now, let's do this properly. He lives alone in a ruined mansion on an isolated island. He has never fully explained what the items are for. He's weirdly evasive about his past, and his defining personality trait is collecting, which for men of a certain age is already a warning sign when it's final. And for Geralt, our hero, a man fresh off a shipwreck with a boat loan and a completely empty emotional support network, sounds like a steady work. Of course, Geralt goes and does it. A strange older man who lives alone, speaking in riddles, handing out life-changing assignments. Sounds like a podcast if you ask me. Your first job itself is a handkerchief. A warm-up, I'd say. Crimson with silver stitching. And your reward for retrieving said handkerchief is actual dredging equipment, the namesake of this game. From then on, the Collector wants the real list, 5 relics scattered across the 5 regions. At night, each one announces itself with a pillar of red light punching in the sky, which in any sane world is a reason to sail the opposite direction, but, Geralt is not the sanest person, he just goes with it. Oh, and once a relic is in your hold, of course, you cannot sell it or throw it away. The one object in this entire economy Geralt cannot monetize is his own past. Write that down, that'll be important later. From the Marrows, you connect an ornate key out of a shipwreck. From the Gale Cliffs, a music box buried behind rubble you can only clear with the estranged brothers' explosives. From Stellar Basin, a jewel-encrusted band sitting at the dead center of the crater, which is to say, in the Kraken's living room, which you'll have to break into. From the Twisted Strand, a shimmering necklace earned by helping the stranded airman through a pursuit the game titles The Bitter End, which also, as a small bonus, wipes out the Mindsuckers for good. And finally, from the Devil's Spine, an antique pocket watch, fished out of volcanic waters that require the best gear in the game. With each relic you hand over, the Collector unlocks a power in you. I say unlocks with quotation marks, of course. 1 relic, Haste, which overclocks your engines at the risk of burning them out. 2, Manifest, which teleports your boat straight back to the safety of a dock. 3, Banish, which shoos away most of the horrors chasing you on a long cooldown. 4, Atrophy, which instantly devours an entire fishing spot and spits some of the catch into your hold, which is also fantastic for hunting rare aberrations. Sit with that for a second. Geralt is granted literal eldritch magic, power over space, fear, decay, even time with his haste ability, and he immediately deploys it all so he can improve his fish catching abilities. It's cosmic sorcery, but in the hands of a middle-aged man, it just becomes a productivity suite. Meanwhile, the game has been slipping you the truth in pieces. Messages in bottles, offhand comments, the lighthouse keeper's carefully worded stories. There was a woman, there was an accident years ago that this town does not talk about, and if you go looking, specifically if you find an old man hiding on an unmarked island near Devil's Spine, the whole thing cracks open, because that hermit is the old mayor of Greater Marrow, the previous administration, and he is not well. He takes one look at Geralt and mistakes him for the collector. Then he starts rambling about the fog, about the aberrations, about a book, and tells you to go ask the lighthouse keeper what she saw. She tells you to go ask the collector about his book. So Geralt sails to Blackstone Isle and confronts his employer. The collector, of course, deflects, jokes about it even. And Geralt, for the first time in the entire game, throws a punch. The fist goes through a mirror. There was never anyone else in that mansion. The collector is Geralt's own reflection. Every meeting, every assignment, every genteel little chat. A man alone in the ruins. Ruins of his own past. Talking to glass. Here's the full story. Assembled from every piece of detail that you've acquired throughout the entire game. Years ago, Geralt wasn't alone. He was married, in fact. Her name was Julie. You know this because one of the relics, the shimmering necklace, was his gift to her, custom engraved for Julie, my shining star. The pocket watch was hers too, passed down from his mother's will. The music box, the ring, the key, every single relic is a memento of their life together. The collector never wanted treasure. He wanted the marriage back, piece by piece, off the seabed. Because one day, the two of them dredged up something that should have stayed down. A crimson book, the Book of the Deep, soaked in exactly the kind of power you think. It killed her. The old mayor witnessed it and lost his mind. That's why he's on that island. The lighthouse keeper witnessed it too and stayed and kept the light on. And Geralt, the book got to him. It erased his memory of that day, and then it built him a friend, a wise, cultured collector of antiques who would give his grief a to-do list. Fetch the relics, perform the rites, and she will come back. The book has gaslit a widower into becoming its delivery service and disguised the whole operation as closure. And that brings us to the ending. 2 endings. Technically 2.5. We'll get to the half because it's quietly the most devastating thing about the game. The bad ending is a default ending, the one most players get. It's simple, you don't figure it out, you hand over the 5th relic, or you just simply do not care. The collector tells you to wait for the fog to thicken, and after the clock strikes 1 in the morning, you sail west of Greater Marrow to Grid Square G8, the spot where she was lost. And there, the collector performs the rite. Each relic goes over to the side, one by one, a phrase for each, saving the music box and its key for last. The key will be inserted, but never turned. The melody starts. From the depths, glowing red, a woman rises, and so does everything underneath her. The ritual was never a resurrection. It was a summoning, and Julie, or whatever is wearing her silhouette, is the garnish of an apocalypse. An ancient god comes up to meet the world. The screen will cut, and the achievement you're handed is called, with a completely straight face, Unshackled. Geralt has finally let go of everything, including the planet. The other path, after the mirror shatters, you take the book. The Lightkeeper tells you this moment of lucidity won't last, so use it. She trains the lighthouse beam on G8 to guide you, and Geralt sets out alone, on his boat, with one cursed book, and throws it back into the sea. The sea accepts it, of course. Remember the Leviathan, the out-of-bounds bouncer? It surfaces and swallows the book, the boat, and Geralt in one motion. Then the fog that has smothered the entire archipelago for years lifts. The sky opens into an aurora, and Greater Marrow gets its first peaceful night in living memory. The achievement is called Sated. It is the good ending, and it only costs you your own life. But what about the half ending? If you already know the truth, If the mirror is already broken, you can still choose to perform the rite anyway. And the game's text change. It's no longer the collector is aboard your vessel. It's that he's with you. It's no longer he reads from the book and throws it into relics. It's you. Same ending, just a different pronoun. And that's the most damning piece. Because you, with the full knowledge of what you're about to do, throw the relics into the water, damning the entire world, knowingly. You have looked the truth in the eyes, and you still chose the path of evil. And this is where the joke stops being a joke. The game is called Dredge. Dredging is the act of hauling up what sank, what is settled, what the water closed over. That's the whole text and the whole subtext. Gerald's crisis was never the boat, the debt, the hobby, those were just the costumes. Christ is a man who cannot let the past lie on the seabed and build a calmer and a wiser version of himself. A better version. One that can persevere where he fell last. And that's kind of the actual voice of a midlife crisis. Not buy a Corvette, date a woman half your age. It's you can still fix it. Despite your mistakes, you can make things right. The past is unchangeable, but the future has still yet to be written. The bad ending is what happens when a man decides the world can burn if it brings her back. The good ending is what letting go actually looks like. And the game is honest enough to admit that for some people, at some depths, letting go and going under are the same motion. And the kindest thing they leave behind is a clear sky for everyone else. Also, Gerald punched the mirror and unlocked his entire repressed psyche in one move, making it the single most cost-effective therapy session in gaming history. One punch, zero copay, mental illness healed, diagnosis confirmed. Now let's talk why it all works. Now welcome back to the spoiler-free surface. Yay! Let's talk about the design. Because Dredge pulls off something most horror games with 100 times the budget cannot. It never once needed to jump scare you. And that's not an accident. The developers themselves have chosen the unsettling feeling of slow psychological dread over a quick and abrupt scare. Knowing you are afraid of something you cannot see, but knowing something is out there, ready to get you. The scariest thing in Dredge never really lunges at you in 0.5 seconds. The scariest thing is the decision. Do I sail the night? Do I risk it all? Do I let the voices, do I let the demons come closer to me for just that little bit of extra? It's the decision that matters. Because here's the core trick. Every scare in the game is one you choose. For money. The night is where the value is. Rarer fish, better hauls, and the night is where the eye opens. You don't need to see any horror. In fact, I'm pretty sure you can beat the game with very minimal amounts of dread. Dredge doesn't spawn horror at you, it prices it. Your own greed will be the difficulty. How much are you willing to risk for progress? How much are you willing to risk for the past? And are you able to cash that check when the past comes haunting for you? It's not the tentacle that came for you. Your own margins, your own profit did. Then there's the light economy, which is quietly brilliant, I'd say. Your lamp helps you spot the hallucinating rocks before they hole your hull, but light also advertises you to things that hunt by it. Brightness is safety and bait simultaneously, so every trip is a little argument with yourself about visibility versus attention. There's no correct answer, there's only consequences. The game even corrupts light itself as a symbol. That friendly lantern on the horizon might be another vessel, or it might be an anglerfish, ready to eat your ass. Dredge teaches you to distrust the exact thing that gives you comfort. The threats are fair too, in the old school sense. Telegraphed. The serpent announces itself with tremors, exploding jellies glow. The blind matriarch only finds you if her children start yelling. Dredge rarely kills you with surprise, it kills you with information you had and ignored. The warning signs were always there. You just kept ignoring them. The presentation punches absurdly above its weight class. There's no voice acting really. Most of the characters speak with a stylized vocal mumbles over text, with most of the lore delivered through quest texts and messages in bottles. It's a big budget constraint, but it led credence to a creative decision. The whole world feels muffled, remote, half-heard, but never empty. The art itself is very chunky, storybook and almost cozy-like, yet still fitting for both the cozy aspects of the games as well as the horror aspects of it. It never feels cheap or out of place. Now, is it flawless? No, not really, of course. The most common complaint people have, and the developments themselves have acknowledged it, is that people simply wanted more. More regions, more story, more hours. The biggest criticism is that the game is a small portion. It should have been more. And if the tension itself isn't your thing, there's also a passive mode that kind of defangs most of the monsters. Collision with big nasties won't stop you from living your dreams on the shores and whatever. It doesn't even disable achievements. You can actually just play this game as a cozy fishing game. Coward mode. Respectable if you do. Success bought Dredge and Afterlife as well. Through 2023, the team shipped 3 free updates, and then on November 2023, the first paid expansion, the Pale Reach, $6, and it added an ice biome to the far south of the map. It's a tight, self-contained side story, an hour or two, where you follow the frozen trail of a doomed expedition lost in time, catch 11 new fish and crab species plus their aberration cousins, and build an icebreaker to crack through the pack ice. Ice fishing, regular fishing, but with extra steps and hypothermia. The headline resident is a narwhal that stalks the whole region, glowing horn slicing the surface, and the counterplay is generally my favorite in the game. Keep it off your back by feeding it at a designated feeding station. That's it. Nothing more. Just keep the predator happy and you'll be safe. Then, in August 2024, another big one. Iron Rig, $12. And the premise, so nice, I'm surprised no one else thought of it first. A company called Ironhaven Corporation shows up in the far north and starts building a deep-sea drilling platform. Purely, they insist to improve the local economy. Finally, after a full game of nameless cosmic dread, we have received a horror that the audience personally can recognize. Greedy capitalism. You dredge up supply crates from the company's mysteriously wrecked cargo ships and use them to build the rig out, facility by facility. A science lab, a tech lab, a foundry, a whole cast of hardhats, plus a visiting executive who takes one look at what the drilling is stirring up and exits via helicopter, which is the most true-to-life corporate behavior in the entire franchise, because the drilling does stir something up. Black ooze starts spilling into waters you'd long since pacified, twisting the fish, spawning new horrors, and giving over 50 new species up from the abyss. There's extra upgrades for your ship, and it all slots into the base game at any point of the story. Later, the game even went mobile, an iOS and Android version announced in late 2024, plus a physical collector's edition. The whole works. We got great scores by Metacritic, nominations for Best Indie at both the Golden Joystick Awards and the Game Awards, and 4 BAFTA nominations. 1 carpool, a load of prizes. It's an insane amount of prestige for one simple game at the end. And then, in April 2024, no one really expected it, but it was announced that Dredge is being adapted into a live-action feature film. Black Salt partnered with Story Kitchen, the production companies whose founders' resume includes Sonic the Hedgehog movies. The official pitch for the Dredge film? Think The Sixth Sense on the water, a grounded cosmic horror blend of Lovecraft and Ernest Hemingway, because really why not, right? Which means somewhere in Hollywood right now, casting directors are hunting for a lead actor who can convincingly radiate tired fisherman with a secret. A role for which every man currently standing motionless in the plumbing aisle of a warehouse store is technically in contention. The fishing indie made by 4 people is getting a theatrical adaptation before half the industry flagship franchises. Whether that's a good thing, considering the track records of game-to-movie adaptations, remains to be seen. So let's close this file. Impulse, watercraft, check. Crushing depth, check. With interest, of course. To a mayor, double check. Obsessive hobby, check. Strange old mentor, check. Mirror, of course, not included. Unprocessed grief, that's the entire map. And number 7, well, you either know or you skipped a chapter. Either way, check. 7 for 7. Dredge is the most honest portrait of a man in crisis the gaming industry has produced so far, and it has the decency to make it fun, gorgeous, and fairly affordable. So play Dredge. It's short, it's sharp, it's on everything, including your phone, and maybe, in the future, your mother. It'll keep you feeling things about a halibut, and then maybe go call somebody you've been meaning to call. Don't wait for them to buy a boat and summon Cthulhu. Now, if you enjoyed this, you know the ritual. Consider liking, subscribing, ringing the bell, feeding the algorithm, sacrificing your money to the eldritch horror that is my livelihood. Just kidding, I don't have a Patreon or anything else, as far as I know. Regardless, till next time.